So it'd be easy for me to say that the HW80 project is finished. Not bad, is it? I will be lying because this is a new gun. So I did actually see this action for sale. Like the project gun, it's got a Webley Pro moderator system on it. I've taken that apart and I can see now what I need to do to my other one to make it fit properly, and it's a little washer, so that's quite handy. It's in 2.2. Obviously my original HW80 was in 1.77, but I bought a 2.2 barrel as well. So I'm hoping that the 1.77 barrel that I reground or flattened off, once my project's all up and running, I'll be able to have the 2.2 and the 1.77. But I bought this one because I might be able to use bits and pieces, but in actual fact it's in really good nick. So when I see a brand new, taken off a brand new rifle, never used, never touched, stock for sale, I thought I'll buy that because that's literally half price. And I've got an HW80. So it is a little bit different. I did notice that obviously instead of 3 stops on the end cap, is 2. And having a little look, this looks like it's from a Mark 1. There's no whole cartridge, no serial number, but what I understand is that it's either on the barrel or the cylinder, and obviously if one's been changed and one hasn't, or it's been swapped around, because obviously this is from an earlier gun, it may well be that you might have one with both serial numbers or with no serial numbers, and this one's got none. So there's no way of me actually dating this rifle, so I don't know if it's newer, older. Very much doubt it's a Mark 1, because it's the patina and the bluing on the end part is a bit different from the cylinder and the barrel, which is in really good nick actually. When I originally got it, it didn't have a trigger guard, so I nicked that one off the project gun and used the obviously the new bolts that I've got. Funny enough, when this came, it didn't have the trigger guard obviously, and it was literally just the action. It still had the little nut attached to the trigger housing. So that was a Brucey bonus. It didn't have any 4-end screws, and I have got some brass ones that I was going to use. But I've sort of decided against it on this one because I just wanted to see what's what. So that's an M5, got some anti-vibration washers, a little spacer, or a little washer, cut down the actual machine screw, and I think that looks alright. So you've got silver, or stainless and stainless, silver and silver. So I think that looks alright actually. The safety did stick a little bit, as in when it was pushed through on fire. Which way was it? Did it stay on or stay off? I can't remember. But either way, you could fire it without thumbing the safety on. So it must have stayed on. Took it at the trigger out, thinking that maybe the spring was missing. But the spring was there, and I think it was literally just being pushed into the little hole a little bit too much. 75% of the time it actually works alright. So also looking at the trigger when I took it out, is that it looks almost brand new. The holes in the end here, they are so tight, so it doesn't even look like that the rifle's been messed with too much, and obviously the pins are going in and out, in and out, in and out, and obviously they've been polished and whatever to make it smoother going in. So all in all, it's a really snug, tight fit. Put some RSW Superdomes through it, and on a chili scale, it's a little bit spicy. So before obviously this gets taken out, I do need to obviously address that. Whether or not it's bedding in, because the power figure was coming down ever so slightly, so I might just put a load of pellets through it and see where it eventually settles down. Because as I say, that looked like it was hardly used. The trigger, it doesn't look like it's over lubed, over gunked. If anything, it looks a little bit dry. So I think it's been just sort of sat there, not really done anything. So I'm hoping that once it starts moving again, it will free up things, and it will be a little less spicy. But yeah, so going from a project gun to buying a whole one. So let's show you where we are with the old one. So the stock's been finished. I'm really chuffed the way that came out. I'm so glad that I did decide to have another go at it and redo it. So it had the walnut oil, or walnut stains, sorry, a couple of coats of that, Danish oil, and then the true oil on top of that. So it's had a good week or two, a couple of weeks actually, to cure. A couple of little bits and pieces that I need to polish. I did get some wax polish, but I have no idea where I put it, so I need to get some more. But certainly on the fore end, it's like glass. It really is nice. So the bits that you touch, really nice. Just a few little bits down here that I need to sort of just buff and polish. But all in all, I think that looks a whole lot better. So the fore ends, I have got some brass inserts and brass screws to go in there because they are a little bit more torn up than the original ones. Obviously that's a nice snug fit, whereas this one's a little bit more open. The butt pad, so it's got the adjustable butt pad on it now, and I think that looks really good. I do need to get some new screws because the ones that I've got in there, I think they're just a little bit too short. Those only literally ones that I have knocking around, so I need to get some new screws in there. But certainly when you look at the two rifles, the stocks are a little bit different. So the actual shape on the fore end, this one's certainly tapered up more, whereas that one's more of a consistent beefiness, girth all the way through. Pistol grip's a little bit different. It's a little bit more angled. Obviously, checkering's all gone on mine because obviously it got sanded off, or God knows what they did to it. But even when you look underneath, this one's a little bit narrower. Oops. Than this one. But when you look, one side, if you can see it, but this side is thicker. This side's a little bit thicker as well. I'm not sure why one side of the stock is bigger or thicker. But yeah, all in all, quite chuffed with this. So it looked nice when the action's in it. So the barrels, this is the original one that came on the gun. This is the 177. This is the one where the end was all wonky and chopped. So that's the one that I've straightened, flattened, polished a little bit. I did pop it on the gun the other day and I made a bit of a mistake because it wasn't shooting. So I then put the 2.2 barrel on it and nothing was coming. The action was firing but nothing was coming out, and I realised that I'd left some tissue in the in front of the piston. So the piston's obviously slamming up and then it's just compressing this piece of tissue. So obviously there was no pressure or air going through the barrel. So I do have a pellet lodged in there that I need to get out. So I need to remember that there's a little bung in there as well. And then there's a pellet in there. So the first time I cock it, don't just dry fire it in the house, because otherwise I'm going to put an hole in the wall somewhere. Anyway, that's besides the point. It might serve me a good purpose actually, because what I was going to do was rub this down, use the 2.2 barrel, because I wasn't sure if this one was any good, and put it onto the old gun. But what I've decided I will do is get some solution I can actually soak them in, rather than me trying to apply the blue and rub it off and apply and rub. I think what I will do is just get a bath or a tub that's big enough for these and literally just submerge them. So maybe if the ends are blocked there, it might serve a good purpose for me actually to try and protect some of the rifling in the 177 barrel anyway. But I don't know, just spitball in there anyway. So what I think I will do is I will persevere with the 177, because it would be nice to have the two different calibers, and then I've got a 2.2 barrel spare that push comes to shove I can refurb it and sell it or keep it, I don't really know. There is a company that I've found that does recrowning and rethreading. So I think it's about £90. It's a firearms dealer that's about an hour away from me. So what I might do is get this up and running, and if it's firing fine, it's firing fine. But if not, and I'm not unhappy with the end, I might get that re-crowned properly and then have a 1/2 inch UNF threaded end put onto it, so I can then put a moderator onto it, because it is a bit short, and I'll see how it goes with cocking, because I might want the extra length. I'll show you another problem with these two barrels, is that the pivot pin are slightly different sizes. So I didn't realise this, but the one on the 177 is actually elongated. It's actually bigger than the pin that you need, or the Weihrauch pin. So when I tried to reassemble it, I had to sort of just fashion a pin together, because it is a press fit. I have got an aftermarket one which I need to fettle a little bit, but it does mean that I can then sort of screw it either side to secure the pivot arm. But on this one, it is a little bit too big, and obviously it's fair enough, I could just get a bigger pin and put it through it, because what they used was the end of a 6mm drill bit, and it's still got the 6 on it. I'll show you that when I'm putting it back together. But that then potentially means that the hole that's in the pivot arm has to be bigger as well. Whatever. So what I have thought about doing is I've got some roll pins, 6mm roll pin, and it does fit in there with a bit of a wallop, it will anyway. So I was thinking that might actually be a little bit better, and a little bit more, not factory looking, but a little bit more than just a nut or a bolt or a screw or something through there. So pinch the end of that a little bit. I think once it's all done and dusted and blued, put that in there, knock that through, and then at least it's something which I can put in, take out, and hold the pivot arm nice and secure. Yeah, and it shouldn't look too out of place, because obviously roll pins are used on all sorts of guns. So that's one of their things anyway. Trigger. So John Nibs has got some of these cases back in stock now, so I've actually ordered one, along with a few other little bits and pieces that I've then used on this, because obviously I need a new trigger guard. I've ordered a new one, so we will be actually trying to take all the components out and swapping it into a new housing, so we'll get to have a look at what the record trigger looks like inside. We can have a go over the how to set it, how to adjust it. So that should be quite interesting actually. I'm quite looking forward to that in a roundabout kind of way. There's only 3 or 4 sears in there, obviously pivots and a few springs, so it's not too complicated. It's just putting it back in the right order, in the right configuration, and hopefully we can then understand obviously what the first stage, second stage heavyweight trigger pull weight does in action. So yeah, got a new one of them coming. And then this one. So this is what I blued a couple of weeks ago. All in all, I was quite happy with it, but over the few days afterwards, I sort of noticed a few areas that could do with another going over, a few little areas of the rusted sort of, where I've missed it on the oil and bits and pieces. So all in all, it probably needs redoing, hence why I'm going to think I'm just going to submerge the lot in a degreaser, deruster, and then just leave it soaking in the blue for a while before getting it out, so everything is all uniform and I can do everything all at the same time in the same solution, the same strength, the same time. However, my solution, which I've forgotten, bear with me. What I did realise is that when I was editing that was that the video cut off. So what I was going to explain was that what I thought was captive nuts were actually just JB welded in. So the second one came out, and my original plan was to get some riv nuts, so they get put into there, and then you squeeze them, and in essence there's a flange that forms on that side and that side that then secures it in place. But there is actually, the hole is actually a lot bigger than the riv nut, so I'm not sure it will still be loose, and it will still look just as much the bodge as the original. And I don't want that, so I at least wanted to try and do things properly, or as well as I can do anyway. So I have found a company, I'm off there in a minute, that does welding, repairs and small jobs, big jobs. So I'm hoping that I can hand this over and get these holes plug welded. and then obviously just dress back so it's flat. Then I can tap them, or drill and tap an M5 through the centres, and then we should be back to almost factory. That's the plan anyway, so it's just all wrapped up just to try and protect it a little bit more than anything. And then yeah, we'll go and see if they can actually sort us out, or if not, I'll come back and we'll start riv nutting. Yeah, something like that anyway. So it was a success. So I popped into the company that was not too far from me, asked them if they could plug weld. They've welded it up, so I just need to dress it back. Got plenty of meat on this, still got the original thickness, so need to get a little file because the one I've got is a bit too coarse. But once that's dressed back, just drill it and then tap it, good to go. So that's one thing. Whilst I was out, popped into TR Rob in Benfleet and picked up a stainless steel top hat and spring guide as well to replace the Delrin one. And I've even got a couple of little washers for act as a bearing if I need to as well. So yeah, so upgrading some of the parts to make sure it doesn't fail in the future, and that looks certainly a lot better than a copper pipe. There you go, so win-win.